This program is fan-generated. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your supports are greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, our very special guest, Toni Bugle, the founder of M.A.R.I.A.S, which is an organization that stands for Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia. And the title of this program, ladies and gentlemen, is Victim of Muslim Grooming / Rape Gangs Speaks Out. Toni, an honor and a privilege to have you on the Glazov Gang.
Thanks for inviting me.
Toni, let us begin. You were a victim of Muslim grooming gangs in the UK. This is a huge crisis now, just madness and barbarity going on in the United Kingdom. And you'd like to come forward and discuss your experience and also what you'd like to do to the victims today and potential victims. Share with us what happened.
I was 15 years old. I was brutally gang raped, violently gang raped. I ended up living homeless in London, and a young girl that I lived on the streets with, and one of the things you don't do when you live rough on the streets, you don't give your real name. And I only ever knew her as Claire, never knew her last name or her real first name. She was 12 years old. She was being prostituted out by Pakistani men, which back then, you've got to remember, I'm 46, and back then you knew of Pakistanis, but we knew nothing of Islam or Muslim. She had been, they took her in basically with kindness, you know, we'll give you somewhere safe to stay, etc., etc., etc. And unfortunately, what they did was got her hooked on drugs. And eventually one night, she got quite badly beaten whilst a man was having sex with her. I stepped in to help to get her out of the way, but she was in a pretty bad way. So I went and got a police officer to try and get her somewhere safe. And because I did that, the way they looked at it is that I had lost them money. So I was then on several occasions cornered by 3, sometimes 4. I was beaten, punched, kicked. I had my hair, I was dragged along the floor. Because as far as they're concerned, her debt now had become my debt, and they expected me to work off what they claimed she owed.
Toni, our hearts go out to you. You're in our prayers, in our thoughts. Thank you for sharing this with us, Toni. And this is dealing with a larger phenomenon while you're on the show. These were Muslim Pakistanis. This was happening to you and happening also to so many victims, and today happening not just randomly, as I would like to discuss with you. It's happening because you were a white kafir girl, and this was an assault by Islam. Could you give us the political, ideological perspective on why this happened to you and why it's happening to so many young white kafir girls in England?
In my personal opinion, from what I'm seeing now, as I said, back then I didn't have an understanding of Islam or an understanding of Muslim. But even then, when I was being attacked, I was told repeatedly that I was white trash, that I was a white whore. So that was a regular. So as time has gone on, and obviously we now have this endemic, when it is endemic, it is a major epidemic sweeping across the country. You start to hear girls, a lot of girls have started to come forward and speak to me, and you hear the same thing. I was called white bitch, white trash, white whore.
And Toni, I'm sorry for interrupting. For our viewers, watch our 2-part series with Gavin Bobby on Muslim rape gangs in the United Kingdom. You know, the stats now coming out, they think that almost 1 million girls have been affected in the last decade or 2 decades. But Toni, the authorities, the UK police, child services, the media, they have betrayed these girls. Tell us how.
It's been completely ignored. Girls who have gone to the authorities, for example, one girl who's in touch with me, she's now 30. She was 14 years old. Her parents did report it, and the police officer's exact words were, she's a prostitute, she's a known prostitute, she'll grow out of it. Well, she's 14. You can't be a prostitute at 14.
Why are UK authorities and the media and child services so afraid to tell the truth and to do something? I mean, they're even calling the rapists and the gangs, quote unquote, Asian, as if it's like some Chinese persons from China, whereas in fact, these are Pakistani Muslims and Arabs from the Middle East. This is an Islamic phenomenon.
The problem we've got two problems. The first problem is political correctness. So the word Asian tars all, which I find wholly offensive. We do not have gangs of Sikhs going out raping young girls and raping them because they happen to be white. We don't have gangs of Chinese or Japanese or Vietnamese. These are gangs of Muslim men. But there's also the fear of the word racist, the fear of the word Islamophobic. These are words that are being used now to shut down any debate, to shut down anything you may or may not say.
So Toni, tell us why you started M.A.R.I.A.S, what it is doing, and how people can help.
I started M.A.R.I.A.S because it became, especially after Lee Rigby, as everybody knows, and then Rotherham broke. But the numbers aren't stopping. People think that they're only talking about historical cases. There are new cases every single day. It's not stopping because as far as they're concerned, we had a Muslim man, he raped an 11-year-old girl and he walked free because his wife couldn't speak English. This is happening because they know our UK law will not address it in the seriousness that it is. Our prisons are full, and I'm not saying they're full of just Muslims, but in London alone, when they tell us that Muslims are 4% of our population, in just London alone, 27% of the inmates are Muslim. And they are in there for drugs, violence, rape.
Toni, where can viewers find you that want to help you and get involved in standing up for the UK girls that are the victims here and the left is betraying them?
They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Twitter, as you know. And they can also find me via my email, which is mariasagainst@gmail.com. So there is places where they can contact us. And we are getting girls now that are coming forward. We're also getting people that remember one particular woman that I went to see. She remembers young girls as young as 12 being brought into a taxi office where she worked when she was only 14. And they were always white girls. And people keep telling us that one of the favourite tricks is to say they're not true Muslims. When they go to prison, they have an imam, a Quran, a prayer mat, and they don't have to eat. They only get halal meat and no pork. If they're not true Muslims, why are they still practicing it? Because they are Muslim.
And of course, Surah 4:3 and so many other teachings in Islamic theology inspires and sanctions what they are doing in terms of rape and vis-a-vis the kafir. That's for our next edition. Toni, you are in our hearts, in our prayers. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing, for being on the front lines, and for protecting all women, including Muslim women, because I've looked it up, and you're called racist and Islamophobe, but it is you who's also standing up for Muslim girls and Muslim women.
I've taken Muslim women into my home.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Toni. We hope that you'll be back for another edition, and we'll discuss this further.
I look forward to it.
Our viewers, please support Toni Bugle's organization, M.A.R.I.A.S. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen. Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia. You'll find her on Twitter, and you'll find her on Facebook. Thank you, Toni Bugle.
You're welcome.
We'll see you on the next edition of the Glazov Gang. Please support us at jamieglazov.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next edition. Good night.